We are back and back to the Seminole War Heritage Trail, a booklet that's published by the Florida Department of State. And it was published in 2015, so the 10th anniversary. I want to go over the sites and tell you which ones are still good, still there. Some of them are gone, which we'll find out in this part. So, um, this this part is, I think, part nine, and we're going over West Central Florida. So in the booklet, going to the map in the booklet, that's the purple area. And I'm pretty much just going to go by the numbers. This is the largest section in the state of Seminole War sites, known as your Gettysburg of Seminole War, or if you're into the Civil War, visiting the sites around Virginia and Maryland, that there's so many of them. Well, that's what this is, because a lot of the early war happened in this area between Fort Brooke and Tampa to Fort King and Ocala. So I'm going to go through these pretty fast. I'm not going to try to explain the whole history. So let's start at it. And this will be broken up into two parts for West Central Florida, because I spent several hours putting together just the images to the places I've pretty much all been to. And of course, I'm running out of my Seminole outfit. So after part 10, I'm going to have to switch to modern clothing, just to let you know. So, mo modern Seminole clothing. So I'm still doing my cool historical garb. So anyway, let's start out in Levy County, go to Cedar Key is the Cedar Key Museum State Park. It's kind of in the back end of the community in Cedar Key, and it's a museum that's been around for quite a while. Zachary Taylor made Cedar Key part of his headquarters and here at the time, and actually he was on a Seminole key, which basically means Cedar Key in Muskogee language there. So there's a museum you can see at Cedar Key on the history, includes a good part of the Seminole War history. And Cedar Key is also one of my favorite places to visit. Now, offshore, and I don't think this is in the booklet, but is a Seahorse Key. Now, Seahorse Key, it's one of three little islands off Cedar Key. You have Bird Key and I think Snake Key, maybe, and Seahorse Key. And Seahorse Key, it's basically a big giant sand dune, has a lighthouse on top. This is, of course, an old image from one of those old newspapers like Harper's Weekly from the Florida memory, of course. And here's the lighthouse today. I think it was built in 1844 is the current iteration. Now you can go to Seahorse Key when it has open house. It's the Marine Lab for the University of Florida, and they've had open house beginning of April or beginning of October. You'll have to look it up on the website for the University of Florida. But and you can even go up on the roof and see and get a look around. But this was known as Cantonment Morgan, or kind of little camp where they kept the Seminoles prisoner here. And here's some artifacts. This is inside the lighthouse. They have a little plaque here. It says it was destroyed by a hurricane in late in 1842. And these are some of the artifacts that were found here. So it's well worth the trip. You can get a ride from the marina at Cedar Key with one of the pontoon boats there. Well worth the tour. Um, Now let's go over to Marion County, Ocala, and of course Fort King. Fort King established in was it 1825 or no, 1827? Yeah, I've done enough videos. I should know that. And this is the reconstructed Fort King. What they have, What they need to do is get the center building built, which was the original courthouse when Marion County was established in 1844. But there's plenty of things to see. They have a visitor center that's always evolving. Here is the old historical marker, which used to be along the roadway uh, at Fort King Street. They moved it further inland by the fort, so it's not in danger of getting run over. And of course, you have this stone monument. When you come in the park, you can see they just rebuilt the blacksmith shop, so that's pretty cool. The blacksmith shop is actually over the footprint of the original blacksmith shop. And of course, um, on the north side of Marion County, they have Coahajo Park. And Coahajo was a Seminole chief. He's kind of contemporary with Osceola. He hung out with Osceola a lot, and but they named the park after him. Probably was where his village was in North Marion County, so that's pretty cool. Also in Ocala, not far from Fort King, you have the Marion County Museum of History and Archaeology. I think that's what the name is today. It's at the Government Center, known as the McPherson Center off of Fort King Street, near 26, I believe. And but anyway, it's open on weekends, and sometimes they have talks too, so it's worth a visit. Another museum is Silver River at Silver River State Park, 3 miles from Fort King, by Silver Springs. The Educational Center was, I think, made about 1995, but of course, a mastodon they found inside the spring. And they do cover the Seminoles, but more of the Seminoles that were here during the tourist industry of Silver Springs. I think there's probably a picture of Charlie Cypress back there. Yep, and that's probably one of the shirts that Charlie wore. So it covers more of the Seminoles that were here at the Springs from the 1930s to 1969 when Ross Allen left. Now in southwest Marion County, they have Halpater Tustanugi Preserve, named after Chief Alligator, I believe, near Dunellen. I think this is 484 is the county road. It's a hiking trail, and it goes down to the Withlacoochee River. I believe they have an interpretive sign in the parking area. That's what I've heard. I haven't seen it because it's been added since I was there. And we found the Camp Izzard in 1995, and that was the battlefield where General Gaines got penned up for about 10 days fighting the Seminoles on the shore of the Withlacoochee River. This really neat painting by Jackson Walker of the event, and eventually they negotiate an armistice or truce with the Seminoles and could have ended the war right then, but the General Clinch and the soldiers came in from Fort Drane and kind of broke it up, but that's another story for another time. Now, in Inverness in Citrus County, you have the Citrus County Courthouse. This is the old courthouse. The new courthouse is kind of nondescriptive. I like the old one. This one, it's hard to tell in the image, but has a green cupola, copper cupola on top. They have a real good Seminole display inside. Well worth the visit. And of course, near Inverness is one of my favorite parks, Fort Cooper State Park. And in Fort Cooper, they have something really neat that they started a few years ago, the Seminole War Heritage Trail. They have about four different kiosks like this that cover the Seminole War history. And this one, it covers like the Seminoles coming into the reservation. Here's another one, Seminole life along the Cove of the Withlacoochee. So that's worth it. Now near Homosassa, and this is one of the ones in the Seminole War Trail booklet, Stage Stand Cemetery. It's a cemetery that was established during the Seminole War by the settlers in this area. Oh, don't have any more pictures, but you can look it up on Find a Grave. Now, Sumter County, this is the big one, Dade Battlefield Historic State Park. annual reenactment that has been going on every year, except the one year we missed during COVID. I think we might have been rained out one year or two. I've been going here off and on since 1985, so this year is going to be 40 years since I went to the 150th, and hopefully I'll be alive 10 years from now when they have the 200th anniversary battle reenactment. If we're all still around, I'll be in my 70s, so I'm not sure how I'll be doing. But of course, it's a spectacular battle reenactment if you've ever seen it. And I know most all the guys in the picture here. Many fond memories of many years of uh, shooting at each other in the woods. Here, this is a photo I took back in, I think about 1993, panoramic shot I had, a little cheap camera I had, the Polaroid or Kodak, I guess. Uh, so anyway, that's one of my favorite pictures of the battle. Nearby, kind of right outside the gate of Dade Battlefield, and you hit the county road, and there's a historical monument here for Fort Armstrong. It's like only, I think it's about it says a mile from Dade Battlefield. I don't even think it's that far. I think it's more like half a mile. Fort Armstrong was on the Fort King Road. I believe it was built by the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Creek Regiment was also here at a time. Just one of the temporary supply forts along the Fort King Road. Now, also in Bushnell, you have the National Cemetery. So a few miles down the road from Dade Battlefield, Bushnell National Cemetery. Here's a grave for David Moniac, Major Moniac, who was killed at the Battle of Wahoo Swamp. He was head of the Creek Regiment, the first Native American who ever went to West Point. I think he graduated in 1819. Then he resigned from the Army to help his father out and was recruited back in when they organized the Creek Regiment in the Second Seminole War. And David Moniac was killed at the battle commemorated by this monument 8 miles down the road from Dade Battlefield, Wahoo Swamp. This Battle of Wahoo Swamp historical marker. And of course, they have a map that's we have reprinted in the Seminole War Heritage Trail. It's kind of one of my favorite wayside parks in Florida because I always stop here. Plus, they have a restroom too, which is awful convenient. They do allow camping at the back of the park. You have to get a permit from the city though, but you know, I've contemplated staying there, but never actually stayed there. Now, this is another thing in the Seminole War Heritage Trail. Uh, Give me a minute while I look this one up real quick. Okay, this historical marker, it's near Brooksville. It's to Charlotte Crum, who was killed during the Florida War. He's received sensationalized attention. Okay. She became a martyr during the war. And also in the guide, I don't have a picture of it. I couldn't find a picture of a in Homosassa. There's William Cooley. It says it's a marker dedicated to one of the first settlers in the area that moved to that area after his family was slain in 1836 near Fort Lauderdale. And I couldn't find a picture of that marker. And the description in the trail booklet says tour boat landing on West Fishbowl Drive behind Ailey Schiller Homosassa Wildlife Park. So I've been to Homosassa Springs, but I've never found that marker. So unfortunately, I don't have a picture of that. So that's a minor stop. But anyway, you can see the Charlotte Crumb. She's probably buried in the cemetery behind her too. This neat historical marker, Chocochatty. This along Highway 50 going into Brooksville. This was a huge Seminole town in the 1820s and the 1830s. Extensive archaeology work has been done here, and they even found evidence where the Seminoles had like a blacksmith who worked there, had quite extensive farms and areas. It's Black Dirt is the name of the chief. That's Fukulesti Hajo. Oh, there it says his name. So he was the main Seminole chief in the area. And let's go down to Pasco County. Okay, Fort King Road, and I think this is near Dade City. Was it? Let me see if it says. Oh, Hernando County, Fort King Road historical marker. One of these is missing, so that this might be the one that's missing. I'll find out in a bit when I see the other photos. Okay, if you're near Brooksville, make sure you visit Chinsaget Hill. It's a historic site that's run by the Tampa Bay History Center. And it's an interesting house, interesting history of the family. And it's not on the Seminole War sites, but I had to throw that in because it's a very interesting place to visit. So, okay, this is the marker that's missing near Dade City, the Fort King Road. I don't even have a title on it. Yeah, it probably got run over or something like that. Also, this is the Bradley Massacre marker near in Pasco County. I think this is near not too far from the Pioneer Village. If oh, while I'm here, I forgot to throw in a slide for the Dade City Pioneer Village, which now has Seminole War displays. Well, why did I forget that? It's not in the booklet, so I'll have to do a separate video on that place. Well, I have in the past, but I'll have to do another one on them. So there's a lot of places to see around Dade City. Fort Dade marker over the Withlacoochee, north of Dade City. This one's missing. It came up missing a couple years ago. We think it got run over by the lawnmower and knocked in the river, and nobody's seen it since, which is a shame. This was one of the Fort King Road forts. You have Fort Foster, Fort Dade, um, Fort Armstrong, Fort McClure, and then you have Fort King. And I've done videos on all those sites. Okay, and here's another marker. This Francis Day Ladies Auxiliary, Pasco County, Pasco Comprehensive High School. Okay, this is in Dade City too, commemorating Major Dade's stop here during Christmas in 1835, the last Christmas they would celebrate. And of course, Major Dade's last words before he was shot and killed at the battle was, we'll soon be at Fort King and celebrate Christmas, Christmas when you get there, or something to that effect. And so that commemorates Major Dade's command. Now, there's another marker. This is also near Dade City, Chipko Township, named after Chief Chipko, who was a Seminole leader. There was two brothers, two different Chipkos. One of them went to Oklahoma and one stayed in Florida. This one stayed in Florida. In fact, we have another marker to him when I get to Polk County, Chipko's village. So this kind of neat. Uh, Talking about the Great Freeze of 1895, killing the citrus groves. Actually, that froze out one of my ancestors too there. So anyway, that ends up for the sites in this part, and I'm going to break it up because Polk County and Hillsborough County have a lot of sites, and the video would probably end up an hour long if I got all these in West Central Florida tied together. So that's all for the booklet for this time, and next one will be part 10, the continuing of Central Florida, and then we'll go into South Florida. And that will be all for this program.